AFC West Roundtable, welcome back into another episode. I think we're all staring at the screen for about 30 seconds a pop, wondering when this thing was actually going to start. So if you look at us, we're like, oh, why are they looking like that? We were ready for like 30 seconds. And StreamYard just decided it wasn't going to start the show. But welcome back into another episode here at the AFC West Roundtable, your favorite weekly in-division show. We got a lot to break down, okay? Football is officially here. Week 1 is officially passed. Some teams in the division, in fact, the majority of the division, the AFC West, came out victorious. Unfortunately, though, for Marcus and the Kansas City Chiefs, surprisingly, with a team that did not end up on top. We're going to get into every single game. We're going to break it down. And then, of course, later on, for the second half of today's stream, we are going to preview week 2. So on your way in, make sure you guys have a big like on the video and subscribe to the AFC West Roundtable. Marcus, let's start with you, man, because, man, you just don't see the Kansas City Chiefs drop many games, but they did in week 1. Obviously lost in the Super Bowl. That is now back-to-back losses over your last 2 games. Are you hitting the panic button yet for the Chiefs, or is it just business as usual?
I mean, business as usual, I guess, to an extent, right? You don't usually see us drop many openers. Last time we did was against the Lions, and what happened to end the season? We ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. So again, I'm not hitting no panic button, but I do want to congratulate the rest of the my AFC West panel here. Congratulations on your Week 1 Lombardi here. Everyone's undefeated, and we're at the bottom. So you know what? Take a screenshot of the standings right now, because by the end of the season, that won't be that way. So, but yeah, it was a good game. I have the utmost respect for Justin Herbert and Harbaugh. I mean, that was a great game. We'll get into the game specifics, but it was a good game. I hope Xavier Worthy comes back soon. But outside of that, yeah, it was a solid AFC West game, another classic between the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Yeah, so Marcus, real quick, are you worried about that wide receiver core? Because understandably, based off of what happened last year, heading into 2025, you'd understand why maybe you would be a bit cautious and weary of your wide receiver core. But now it's in even a worse situation. You know, Rashee Rice being suspended, now Xavier Worthy supposed to be out for quite a few amount of weeks here. So what are your thoughts on this wide receiver core? You hitting that panic button yet?
No, honestly, like Jalen Royals, one of our guys we drafted. He didn't even play in this game. He has, I think, a knee tendonitis, I believe. So he should be coming back this week. Hollywood Brown looked like Hollywood from Baltimore Ravens days, second half of that game at least. So honestly, like Tyquan Thornton looked good. I mean, that was the longest catch he's ever had in his NFL career. So thanks for that, the Patriots, Colby. But yeah, honestly, I'm not really scared about our receiver room. I like what I saw from the guys, but we'll have Jalen Royals back next week, hopefully. And then Rashee Rice will be fresh in week 7. So I'm not pressing the panic button. And I also will say, Xavier Worthy, the fact that, everyone during the game was, oh man, he's out for the season. He has to get surgery. The fact that he's not getting surgery, and it's a day-to-day, as Andy Reid said yesterday, makes me believe we might see him in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So I'm happy with that. To come out with Xavier Worthy not getting, season-ending injury on friendly fire, I was happy about how that happened.
So some reinforcements certainly coming. It might sting for another week or 2, but reinforcements are certainly on the way for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. But James, let's go on over to you, man. You got to be sky high. You start off week 1 with the dub in the division against the Chiefs. I mean, it doesn't get much better for your Chargers fan.
It doesn't get much better, and just going against a juggernaut in winning week 1 versus the Chiefs and finally finding a way to sucker punch Big Brother week 1 is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so I love to see it. And, I kept thinking the whole time walking out of that and being at the Chargers fan event out in Los Angeles, kept thinking about the wise words of Nacho Libre. Life is good, really good after that win. So it really felt good, man. And, I'm excited about it, man. It's a great one to get to, and we're excited about week 2 coming up against the Raiders.
Love to hear it, man. Another opportunity for the Chargers to put themselves into a good position early on in the 2025 NFL season. But Ryan, let's go down to you. You obviously were able to get that dub also, as I think, a lot of us expected you were able to, but nonetheless, a dub is a dub. How are you feeling?
I feel really good. I think right after the game, I felt I had mixed emotions, but listen, we got a new stadium now that we're building. So that felt even nicer to hear that today. But I think I did mention that game went like how I predicted, like it could have been sloppy, and the defense still showed up. They held Cam Moore to only like 12 completions. Granted, there were a lot of drops by Calvin Ridley specifically and other wide receivers, but this offense, there's so many new pieces. They also, last year, the playbook was held back a little bit because there's a lot in there. I mean, anybody that's played for Sean Payton will tell you that. And you can tell that they opened it up a lot more. But I have some, reservations about some of the stuff that Sean does too early into the season. And Sean Payton's his offenses going even back to New Orleans historically have not been that good in September because they take a little bit of time to ramp up and get that chemistry going. So there's so many moving pieces. I think last year the Broncos were number one in personnel changes. Every single play, we're running 4 or 5 guys in and out of the huddle. So it's going to take some time. Bo did not have a great game. I'll admit that. I'm not worried one bit, though. I'm not worried one bit because if you can see his face, he's locked in. He's going to be grinding away and to improve those things. There's a lot of miscommunication between him and the receivers, such as where they should stop and all this stuff. So clearly, just some week 1 mistakes, week 4 of the preseason, as you will say. And that's why I said last week, I am so glad we got the Titans week 1. So, because I knew some shit like this was going to happen and we can get this stuff out of the way. Whereas I would have been deathly afraid if I had something like the Chargers and Chiefs where you're going up against a division opponent, especially the Chargers in your first 3 weeks. It's just division opponents. That I'd be terrified of. So, but yeah, nothing to worry about here. They got the dub. They showed resilience when things weren't going great, and the run game started to look pretty good. So overall, I'm happy with the result.
Love to hear it, Ryan. Love to hear it. And you know what? You did predict it. You predicted it exactly the way that you said it was going to happen. And that's why we got Ryan on the panel, because he's the best Denver Broncos creator.
24-10. 24-10. I think that was around it. We won 20-12 and right around that mark. Yeah, general ballpark. Yeah.
There you go.
If there was 1 or 2 plays that went our way, it could have been 27 to
could have been the exact score.
To 12. Yeah.
Could have been the exact score you said. But Simone, let's go on over to you, man. How you feeling? You get the week 1 dub, new era of the Raiders, man, and you guys are able to go on the road and get the win against another team who is in a new era in and of themselves with the New England Patriots. So how you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling hella good, man. A lot of people doubted us, man. Shout out to Ryan though. He backed me up on this one this week, but a lot of people out there didn't expect the Raiders to win. Of course, the Patriots, the Raiders, they had a lot of new pieces, offensively, defensively. We got a new head coach over here, new running back, even a new quarterback. But just from what I've seen in this game, made me real excited. Of course, just winning the game in general, but I feel like the way we won it made me excited for the future of this team. Heck, in the rain too, Smith throwing up 362 yards in this game, a touchdown, an interception as well. But I think overall the offense is something that I'm really excited to see moving forward. The defense was pretty solid as well in the second half. We didn't let up any scores other than the last second field goal. But one thing that Pete Carroll definitely gave me more confidence in is the fact that he adjusted at halftime, because we were kind of not doing anything right before half, but right after the half, we made a lot of big plays. And we just came away with the W. So I think it's a good feeling going into week 2, of course, against the Chargers. So that's going to be a matchup that I'm looking forward to watching, though. But winning in week 1 is a good feeling because we don't get that a lot. So I'll take it.
It's certainly good momentum, too. Start off the season with a win. Can you carry that momentum into a big division game into week 2? That's certainly something that the Raiders needed. And certainly heading into week 2, they're certainly in a good place. But guys, before we do start breaking down these games that just happened and then previewing week 2, I do want to let you guys know about Sleeper, one of the proud sponsors here at the AFC West Roundtable. If you guys use promo code RTS, you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And what I want to do real quick is, because we have a big in-division game coming this week, like Samoan just alluded to, like we heard James allude to earlier, and I want to build a quick parlay that you guys can get in on the Sleeper app with us. So, James, let's start with you. Let's look at a couple of these lines and you tell me what you like. We got Justin Herbert over or under 247.5 passing yards. Amari and Hampton for 56.5 rushing yards. Ladd McConkey over under 71.5 receiving yards. Quentin Johnston, 43.5 receiving yards. Any of these you like?
Quentin Johnston's getting CB3 that covering him, so that would actually be a pretty good bet in my opinion, because the whole Keenan Allen Ladd McConkey thing is going to be a problem for a lot of teams. So I like that Quentin Johnston pick for sure.
I certainly like that over. What about Amari and Hamden? I mean, I feel like that's a good line for sleeper at 56.5. Do you feel like he'll get the over or under here?
So that's 56.5. Patriots basically did not decide to run the game or run the ball pretty much.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I don't know, man. I mean, Trevion Henderson did have about 5.4 yard average. I think it's a good one. I think I'd go with the Justin Herbert pick, in my opinion, 247.5. I think he could throw over that. I mean, Drake May did that on the Raiders last week at 287 yards. So I'd probably go with the Justin Herbert pick.
Yeah, I like those. All right. What about you, Simone? Let's get in a couple here for the Raiders. Well, actually, I might only be able to do one, unless these are both lines that you like, because there's only two that sleeper gives us.
I guess that's the only two I'm going to take, though. For sure. Geno Smith, I can see Geno Smith doing that. Ashton Genty was pretty much shut down last week. And I know that's all going to depend on the offensive line, but for sure the Geno Smith one, and I guess just for the heck of it, just throw Ashton Genty in there, man.
You want to give the over for Genty, too? All right.
Yeah, I'll put the over on that. You never know.
Tripping.
I like that, Simone. The breakout game for Ashton Genty.
Yeah,
the thing, too, is that I don't even think Ashton Genty was bad last week. Like, you see him averaging, like...
Yeah, he was warming up. That's
2 yards per carry. That was the best, 2 yards per carry game for a running back that I've ever seen. I just think that you guys were passing the ball so effectively. You really didn't need to give it off to Ashton Genty.
Yep,
so maybe this game's different. So I really, really like those lines. We got Justin Herbert for over 24.5 passing yards. We got Quentin Johnston for over 43.5 receiving yards, Geno Smith for over 240.5 passing yards, and Ashton Genty for over 67.5 rushing yards. You guys let us know what you think about those in the comment section below, and make sure you check out Sleeper and get in on the action with the AFC West Roundtable. But fellas, let's go ahead and let's just transition on into these games. Let's start with the first one, the surprise game of the week, if you will, and that was the Chargers beating the Chiefs. Marcus, I want to give you the floor. Let me know everything that happened here. What went wrong for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game?
So the third play of the game is where it begins. Xavier Worthy running into Travis Kelce on a rub route. And getting hurt and pretty much scrapping our entire game plan. Xavier Worthy was supposed to be our guy, especially without Rashee Rice. And we had to kind of, make Hollywood Brown that guy in the middle of the game. First half of the game, we went 0 for 7 on third down. And you're not going to win a game doing that. But nonetheless, it still came down to one possession game in the end. That's what Mahomes does. He wills us into those spots. But look, I know I've seen people say, "Oh, the Chiefs got dominated," but we literally missed an extra point. Had we not missed the extra point, we had to go for 2. And then that's where the kind of that lead get the Chargers got that little separation there with that whole kind of mishap there. But again, we talked about it last week, or I think Ryan might have mentioned it. A team that has had 17 straight games of winning one possession games, it's not sustainable. That's not going to happen every week. We got lucky a lot last year, and I'll say some of the games were luck. We had block kick, missed kicks. Yeah, a lot of magic, Swift magic. And just look at the Chargers. No matter how good or how bad the Chargers have been over the years, during the Staley days, 8 of our last 10 games with the Chargers have been decided by one possession. So that's just how it is in this division, right? And look at our games last year. Every one of our divisional games were a one possession game last year. I honestly, people say, "Oh, Chargers kind of shocked the world there." It's the game, it was a 3-point spread. It wasn't a shock. If you watch any of these matchups, they're not really shocks. But I will say, for me, watching the game, I was shocked about a few things. Our run D actually played pretty well. And again, just kudos to Jim Harbaugh and, changing up the tendencies. Everyone thought they were going to go into the game and be a smash mouth team, and they just stepped back and threw that thing all over the game. One of Justin Herbert's best games. And it took, the best game for him to win that, to win it. And, not be able to cover anything underneath, just soft coverage, not being able to get to the quarterback, which is why I said, having to get penetration against the Chargers without having a blitz. And we couldn't do that at all. It was a stalemate up front. End of the game, we had a chance. 3rd and 14, Chris Jones goes inside instead of going contain on the outside. Probably get the chance to get the ball back, and who knows, Mahomes with the ball back with a minute and a half left in the game. Who knows? What happens there? But I would say the receiving aspect, yes, that concerned me in game. But now that we have a week to know what we're going to be dealing with, I'm not scared about that at all. We're going to scheme up getting our tight ends involved, get Noah Gray more involved. We didn't really get to see him. Pass protection, one main topic that I talked about all throughout the preseason. Honestly, I liked what I saw from the left side. Josh Timmons played a great game. King Suma dominated, not dominated, but he was solid, and that was a guy I was scared about. The ones that really kind of surprised me in a negative way was Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. The guys were getting paid a lot of money. We're not opening up any holes, any lanes for Pacheco or Kareem Hunt to do anything in that game. And that was kind of guys who are getting paid as much as they are. I want to see a little bit more from them. And then, of course, talked about it last week, Jawan Taylor, my guy. 3 penalties in the game, 2 false starts. I think 4 penalties, actually. Pretty rough start for him. A guy who had 19 penalties all year last year. We're starting off the season with 4 of those things. And honestly, I think he's on a short leash. My co-host Jason Dunn and I were talking about it last week, and we think that Jalen Moore is going to be the guy. Maybe by this week, we might see a change at right tackle spot. And if this false start stuff continues, you see Travis Kelce, getting in his face during the game because he had 2 at that point. We're kind of getting tired of it. You're getting paid a lot of money. This is probably his last year with the team. At some point, Jalen Moore's getting paid a good chunk of change, and he's sitting right behind you. Before, we didn't have a guy to replace Jawan Taylor for all these false starts. Now we have a guy to replace him. So that's going to be one thing I'll be looking at going into week 2. But that was a disaster seeing him. Josh Simmons had a few false starts, but he was a rookie. First game in the NFL. That's okay. But a guy who's been doing this for 2 straight years, going into year 3 of doing this, enough is enough. So I really want to see a change. Honestly, Jalen Moore looked good at right tackle during the preseason, and his play is honestly it's not good enough to say, oh, it's okay. The false starts, that's okay. He's not good enough to say you can waive that. So I want to see a change in right tackle, and of course I want to see pass rush to get to the quarterback next week without having to blitz. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, Juju too, showing some ability, showing some like Steelers Juju Smith-Schuster out there, man. I don't know what it is about Juju. Like, there's certain games that guy turns it on, and then he's gone for the next 5 weeks. I think if he's able to be a little bit more consistent, then you guys might be able to make up and do well until you get some wide receiver help coming back in a few weeks. But
yeah, he's in the best shape of his life right now. So.
Is he really?
That's what he said. He says in the best shape that he's been in his career. So hopefully his hamstrings can stay healthy. And the guy's only 28. It feels like he's 35, but he's only 20 years old. He's a young dude.
Which is crazy.
I
heard Russ say that 2 years ago.
He was drafted. Yeah, he was drafted really, really young. A lot of people forget that, but it was like those knees and all that was a problem for him during his time in New England. And seems like since getting back to Kansas City, he's maybe getting a little bit momentum, which could definitely go a long way for the Chiefs. But James, let's go on to the winner's side of this. What was your perspective on this game? How were the Chargers able to, I don't want to say shut down the Chiefs, but able to shut them down enough for the Chargers to come out with this win?
I think it started with a smack heard around the world. And that was the Tier Tart, and I call him Slap Chop now because he's batting balls left and right on top of that too. And it was fun to see that happen, but I'm going to kind of keep it a little bit more towards the Chiefs a little bit too, and just understanding how their game kind of went. It just became a dink and dunk, death by 1,000 cuts type situation here too. And basically the Mahomes magic little plays that he kept doing, just lofted a ball out, just hope for the best, and found a way to basically get to Hollywood Brown downfield. The little throw pass midair type situation, the things that make you go crazy as a Chargers fan. And it is absolutely maddening to watch that. But if I'm going to speak specifically about the Chargers on this, it was awesome to be able to see a win versus the Chiefs where they controlled the game essentially from beginning to end. I mean, if you go back to some of the stats that Marcus talked about on the Chargers side of things, 5 of the 7 losses to the Chiefs, the Chargers had the lead in the last 4 minutes of the game. And that's a pretty big stat that we said, hey, look, we're not going to allow that lead to happen. And they did a great job of managing the game throughout this one. And it was a big difference of coaching staffs. Jim Harbaugh knows what he's doing, and he's a very experienced coach, and he knows the division runs through the Chiefs. So Chargers did a solid to go out week 1, get Chiefs a loss in the division immediately. It helps all the teams in division for us that we could all have a shot to basically win the division. So it was a really, really good to see that. So we're excited about that. We're excited to be able to see how that develops throughout this whole course of season. Obviously, it's just week 1 at this point. But the Chiefs basically did lose a lot when Xavier Worthy went out on this game. That shifted the game pretty drastically too. I think it's one of those things that we just had to hold back some of the explosive plays from the Chiefs. if I look at the stat here where the explosive plays of 20 plus yards from Patrick Mahomes has diminished over the years. If you compare it from 2018 to 2022, he had an average of about 15.3 yards plus type plays, 51 touchdowns, 12 picks, 117 quarterback rating, leading the NFL. In 2023 to 2024, his average has gone down to 9.8, 5 touchdowns, 10 picks of throwing passes over 20 plus yards. With an explosive play catch, I should say, or pick, with a rating of 44.8. Now he's 33rd out of 34 quarterbacks in the league in that category. So I think the Chargers said, hey, look, they're just going to keep throwing the ball shallow on us. Let's find a way to just basically keep it in front of us and don't let those big plays up. I think it's really almost like one big play, that Hollywood Brown play and the Kelsey touchdown were the big plays that kind of happened for this one. So I'm going to keep it a little bit more on the Chiefs side of things. If I'm going to come back around with the Charger side of things, I got a lot of notes on that I could kind of bring up too. But hey, good win for the Chargers. Love to see it. And, we'll see what happens for week 2 for the Chiefs. And if they are a real team or not, we might see that slump again for week 2.
To that point, though, I will say you're right. The last few years, we haven't seen those explosive plays. Mahomes said all offseason, we're going to see that again. In this game, I will say it felt like we had more explosive plays in this game than we had all year last year, just with the way it felt. The Tyquan Thornton bomb as well, the one that got us in the field goal range as well. So we saw more Mahomes type magic moments that we didn't really see last year in this one game. So I know we lost. We saw a little bit of that we hadn't really seen last year. So that was one thing to take a silver lining, a positive. That was one thing that came out of this game as well.
Those Mahomes magic plays make every Chargers fan just scream at the TV. It is so frustrating to watch. And I'm sure every team in this division has had many of those happen against them. So it's frustrating to watch.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Ryan, let's go down to you. From someone who was on an outside perspective, obviously your team wasn't playing in this game. What were your thoughts about how this game ultimately panned out? I guess the Chiefs losing is certainly better for the entire AFC West, but at the end of the day, someone in the division was still going to win. So it's kind of like a win-lose situation. But what were your thoughts on this game?
I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I was actually kind of mad that the Chiefs lost. I was pretty upset about it.
Really?
I was really upset about it because I didn't want the Chargers to look that good. I don't fear the Chiefs. We match up pretty well against them. We almost beat them the first time last year. We whooped their ass with Russell Wilson the year before in that one game and ended our streak. We haven't been able to beat the Chargers. So I'm actually more afraid of the Chargers because we don't match up well against them. So I would much rather prefer to see the Chargers get a loss and still knowing that I have full confidence in my team to beat the Chiefs no matter how much they beat down the Chargers than see Herbert go out and look that good and dot up the whole field. That terrified me much more than if the Chiefs would have won. Like, if the Chiefs would have won, it would have been like, all right, normal business going on. Now there's a bit of a shift. Chargers, you can take all the hype. You guys can go win the AFC West. You guys are so good. Take all of it. Take all the hype that we had. I don't care. Let us be under the radar again. I love it because then that's when we'll come and smack everyone in the mouth out of nowhere. But it was that was a good game. Chargers proved that they're much better than everyone expected, and everyone should have been talking about them. I'm not even saying just to get the hype off of us, but I believe that you guys didn't get as much respect over the offseason that you deserved, personally. And so. Yeah, definitely a threat there, especially how we've just matched up against you guys in the past. And the Chiefs, some chinks in the armor. Some chinks in the armor is what I see. Travis Kelce looked a little slow. He's knocking out his own players, not even apologizing or looking like he gives a shit about them. Dude, did you see it? He straight ran into him. He knew he ran into him, and he didn't give a damn. He just kept on looking the other way, just like, what's going on? Where's my girlfriend at?
I've seen so many people say that, he did it on purpose, and now you're playing into it by saying,
no, I don't actually think he did it on purpose, but you can tell he didn't give a shit about him. You can tell he didn't give a damn.
Oh, come on. Of course he did. What? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, did you see him go up to him or anything at any point?
I mean, they took a break from the telecast, man, but I'm sure he was I'm sure he was there with this guy. I mean,
we'll see. I don't know, but that's not even the point. This is about football anyways, but no, I think this the AFC West is going to be a lot more even, at least for the top 3 teams. Raiders are going to go in there and be like a little brother messing shit up for everyone else, like here and there.
Then they won't actually
get a spot. There's only like so many spots. There's only so many spots. It's just the truth.
Yeah,
you guys will definitely like mess it up.
We got the Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders.
Everyone, all three of us were gonna be putting together the puzzle, and then Raiders gonna come in here, mess it up, and then just be like, all right, go put it back together.
Well, Samoan, let's go on over to you. Wrap us up with this in-division game. What were your thoughts seeing that the Chiefs fell to the Chargers?
I think it was a typical AFC West matchup. Like it doesn't really matter what the record is at the end of the day with any of our teams. Whoever faces who, it's always going to be a great game. And even though the Chiefs lost, I'm not going to like overlook that because we've seen that plenty of times where the Chiefs don't look the same, and we say the same thing over and over again every single year. Like, oh, this is the year that they don't make it. But we'll see. Hopefully that's true. But it was just 1 week. We don't know what kind of team everybody's going to look at throughout the whole year. I'm on the opposite side of Ryan. I'm not really worried about the Chargers, even though they won this game. And they look great. Kudos to them. Justin Herbert looked great as well. But I'm more afraid of the Chiefs because, of course, we haven't beat them more than the Chargers, even though we got a matchup coming up. But I think at the end of the day, it was a great matchup between both teams. At the end of the day, somebody was going to lose. So, I'm just happy that the Chiefs lost. But I'm not going to count them out just yet until we go out and beat them, hopefully.
Certainly fair. Well, you guys let us know what your thoughts and reactions were to the Kansas City Chiefs falling in week 1 of the 2025 NFL season to the in-division Chargers. Let's move on to the next game, though. Ryan, I want to go over to you. You kind of started to talk about the game a little bit earlier, but just overall from a wide range, what were your thoughts? I think we all kind of expected that you were going to be able to take advantage of this new look Tennessee Titans team. And at the end of the day, maybe it wasn't this massive blowout that some fans wanted, but nonetheless, a win is a win. You guys are staying in that column, and that is the most important thing. So how are you guys able to remain victorious throughout the game?
The defense, they're so good. They're as advertised, man. That pass rush is so elite. Nick Bonito is a beast. He is worth every single penny. I forgot about Pat Surtain as well because the ball just never went his way. And Hufanga, we already are seeing the early returns. He was so great for us. This secondary is insane. They're absolutely insane. So love everything that they did. The offense, on the other hand, they got some things to work on. It wasn't just Bo. Bo had 3 turnovers. He had some mistakes, but it wasn't just him. There was a lot going on all over the place. Running backs, they start to get their flow more in the second half. We should have been running the ball more. Both threw it 40 times. Like, we don't need to be throwing it 40 times against the Titans. When you just got 2 running backs this offseason, there's no reason to be throwing it 40 times. So even Sean admitted after the game, I should be running the ball more. He had on his play call sheet last year, run the damn ball. I think I remember like them showing that during like a Thursday night football game. So this dude forgets to run the ball sometimes. I think it was a mix of, a lot of hype. Sean, this dude's probably like in the dark for like 15 hours a day, just like scheming up all these plays. So, he was like jacked up, and same thing with Bo, he's locked into football. So there was a lot of nerves going on, and then they finally, got them out. We did get some nice offensive drives, touchdown pass to Cortland Sutton. He didn't drop any balls this week, so I don't got to get on him about that. So, but he did have some moments where he could have been a little bit more aggressive, but regardless, he was fine. And then we had a nice 50-yard run from RJ Harvey, who's looking like he's really going to be the real deal. Obviously, just 1 game, but he's up there for a rookie of the week, like rankings or whatever. And then J.K. Dobbins as well. He had a nice touchdown run right after RJ Harvey's touchdown run. So there's some bright things to look at. What I'm taking away most from this is, when you look at this team from the past 10 years and just the stench of just mediocrity and losing, they used to always just blow close games like this, and they really just locked down, shut down the Titans. So it shows that even when things aren't going great, the offense can still get something done. The defense will still be there to help, but we just need this offense, really get it going. So then the defense can take more advantage of a good offense. So solid weekend, a lot of good things to take from, but a lot of things to work on.
A lot of things to work on for sure. But you know what? I think one thing we all expect from the Denver Broncos is that is going to be a top 5 defense in the league. I think if we're all being honest with ourselves, okay, that should be the expectation. And they're definitely going to be what keeps you in games, especially early on, while maybe the offense still figuring a couple of things out there with Bo Nix. But Samoan, let's go on over to you. What were your thoughts figuring out that the Broncos came out victorious in week 1?
Yeah, I think nobody's really surprised, right? Because we all expected the Broncos to win this game, especially against the Titans. And I will say that defense definitely won them that game. That defense definitely a top 5 defense in the NFL. That's the only thing I'm nervous about. Now, as far as the offense, of course, that's something that looked really shaky. I think their run game is solid. RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins did pretty well in the second half of the game, but I feel like the offense is what's going to keep them behind this year. Depending on what Bo Nix does, 2 turnovers in this game, or maybe 3 turnovers in this game, I believe. So
yeah, 2 picks, 1 fumble.
Yeah, the fumble. I forgot about the fumble. Yeah, that's going to be the biggest questions for them moving forward. And I know there's a lot of hype, and I know you said that there was like jitters going into this first game, but the Tennessee Titans at the end of the day. So we'll see how it looks. If they continue to look like this, then that's going to be a problem. But especially if they go up against a team that's more of a competitive team with them. But overall, I think we've seen everything that we basically talked about going into the game. Good defense, sus offense, but we'll see how they look moving forward.
And let's go up to you, Marcus. Marcus, what were your thoughts on the Denver Broncos win this week?
I mean, their defense looked great. I mean, they shut down. Calvin really had a million drops that game. Would it be interesting if Calvin really didn't drop that pass at the end on that last drive? I thought Titans had a shot to do something, but they couldn't move the ball at all. Surtain locked him up pretty much all game. So yeah, I mean, we know the Broncos defense is good. One thing I had mentioned on the show in the preseason was, sophomore slump could be coming for Bo Nix, and I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat calling him Bo Picks. He looked like Auburn Bo Nix. That's what he looked like that game. 3 turnovers, like we mentioned. Again, I'm curious to see how he looks against the Colts. That's another interesting game. You're playing that division 2 games in a row, which is nice. The schedule makers did that for you. But Colts actually looked pretty good last week, and I think you guys are only a 2.5-point favorite. So interesting to see how that game looks. I mean, he's going to need a bounce back spot for him, definitely after that performance last week. And the one thing I'll say, Sutton dominated. Your boy did all right. That fourth down play at the end of the game, he throws to, I think he threw it to Mims. Dude, Sutton was wide open. I was like, dude, what is he doing? Like,
yeah,
a JV quarterback.
No. So I think what happened there, I mean, I was just distraught with like the play call at first, but then you see it from a different angle. And I was like, oh, Sean made the right call. He was traumatized with a blocked field goal from last year, actually, from the Chiefs game. He even mentioned like a blocked field goal could happen there. So obviously, he wanted to avoid that. But I think it looked like there was some pressure coming in Bo's face, and he had to get rid of it. That's why he like kind of lobbed it up weirdly to give Mims some more time. Mims, I think he should have ran quicker to the ball because it was in there for a long time and it did land in bounds. But definitely Sutton was the open target. It was a great play call. It was a great play call. You live and you learn. The great thing about Bo is that he always learns from his mistakes, and he typically will never have like 2 really bad games in a row. That only happened last year in the beginning of the season because the second game was against the Steelers defense and he was a rookie. But last year, typically if he had something shaky going on, we can tell easily because his footwork will be a little bit shaky, and you can tell he's like moving a little bit too quickly. And then I remember in the Bucs game, it was like week 3, super cool, super calm, and he was just dotting it up. So it's a pretty easy tell early in the game if he's gonna start off like slow or hot. You just got to look at his footwork, see how fast he's moving, because you can kind of tell if his brain's like really in it or not. And then sometimes it'll like after halftime or after like he just gets like hit, it'll shake off and he'll be cool. So yeah, that's what we're learning with him.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, also too, it's week 1, so we're still figuring out all these teams. Tennessee's defense might actually be pretty good. We may not, honestly, they may be pretty good.
Their interior is good. Simmons, Draymond Jones, crazy. Former Bronco, and Sweat. Those guys were causing some problems. Yeah, they were causing some problems. So they're solid. And Cam Ward, he looked very solid. He looked super calm. He was holding onto the ball for too long. That is one thing. That's why we sacked him like 5 or 6 times. Mm-hmm. But they look pretty solid as well. And it's week 1. Like, remember, last year, the Saints, they looked like a juggernaut their first 2 weeks, and then they looked like garbage for the rest of the time. And like as for the Colts, I think that game said more about the Dolphins than it did about the Colts, though, in my opinion. Like Mike McDaniel's going to be gone, and we'll find out sooner than later. We'll find out sooner than later. I'm going to be going to that game. I'm going to be on the ground right there. Nice. So I'm gonna be yelling at Bo some prayers and stuff for him to hear, so he can calm down pre-game. I'm gonna get there a little
Make a sign,
early.
Ryan. Make a sign.
He listens to worship
Portland,
music before the game, so I'm gonna be yelling some verses at him to calm down.
I like that, Ryan. That's a
yeah.
good idea. Help out your young quarterback there. Make a sign. Give him a
Oh,
prayer.
yeah.
Throw a Bible
Yeah.
at his face. Maybe that's the best way to do it, man. That's certainly the best way. But James, let's go on up to you. Wrap us up here with this Broncos game. What were your thoughts on their win?
Broncos were extremely lucky in this one. They were extremely lucky in this one. I mean, you go and look at it and you kind of say, hey, look, Broncos had 4 turnovers at the 12-minute mark left in the fourth quarter fumble in the end zone. They had 2 turnovers in the Denver 22 and the Denver 26, ended in 1 field goal and a punt. And why I'm also saying they're lucky is because they had Cam Ward out there too. First game out there, mistakes, drop passes, all that kind of nonsense. If you had a quarterback that was a legit quarterback, a couple years into the league, whatnot, I think some of those turnovers would have turned into touchdowns. What would have that done in this game? Even just 1 touchdown. I even said in last week, Cam Ward's not going to get a touchdown in this game. And he didn't. It was all field goal fest for him at this point. And, Titans could have a legit defense or the Broncos have a really bad offense. And I've been even saying that for a while. I feel like their offense is going to be stagnant. Sounds like Evan Ingram is even injured too. So that's kind of going to be a miss there too. So that's going to be a big loss. Running game, J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey. I mean, you might have a legit situation there. It's just the thing is, though, your head coach just loves to throw the ball. Go back to his Breeze days, 40-something passes dang near every game, and he will just throw the ball as much as he can. Now, do you have enough targets to really support that? I personally don't think so. So, bottom line, the way I view it as Broncos, I think, got extremely lucky in this one. If they just had a better quarterback that they're playing against, I think it would have been huge. Now, crazy stat with the Titans. They had 133 total offensive yards to 131 yards of penalty. I mean, it's a +2 yards for an entire game. I mean, it's crazy to look at that. Maybe it's just the shakiness of a rookie. I mean, Calvin Ridley with the drops. We've already talked a ton about that. I think the Broncos got extremely lucky in this one. And now they got to play against a Colts team that might actually be good with Daniel Dimes. Who knows? We'll see. But I think going back to it, hey, Broncos got the win. I expected them to win. I expected them to have a blowout win, and they did not have a blowout win. So I think that's some room for concern there, Ryan. I know you came into the show saying you're feeling really good. Both Marcus and me kind of looked at each other like, yikes. That's a tough one to come out there feeling good about. But anyways, we'll see what happens week 2 for the Broncos.
Hey, a win is a win, right? Win is a win, loss is a loss, and you rather have an ugly win than a positive loss, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters is you getting in that win column. So let us know what you guys think about that Broncos game in the comment section below, and let's transition to the final game of week 1 before we start previewing week 2, which I think is what everybody wants to hear about at this point. Now, Samoan, obviously you guys come out with the win against the New England Patriots in the rain. We hit upon this a little bit earlier that both the Raiders and the Patriots were very, very similar teams heading into week 1, brand new regimes, 2 new head coaches who have been in the league before, who have coached before. And this game just felt like it was all about momentum. You guys open with the momentum. Then Jalen Hawkins intercepts Geno. Then the Patriots have the momentum. Then you guys get the interception on May in the 3rd quarter, and you maintain the momentum for the remainder of the game. So how were you guys able to remain victorious, and what are your thoughts and feelings about the Raiders heading into week 2?
Man, of course, like I feel good, man, just getting any type of win. And I feel like this year was, I went into this year knowing we're not going to go 17-0, but as long as we look competitive in every single game, that's all I'm asking for. Of course, coming out with a W, and going into this game, there was a lot of expectations. I had a lot of high expectations for the offense, and they came out swinging. Geno Smith looked damn near perfect in that first drive. We were driving down the field. And to your point, we had the momentum coming out the gate. Even after the 3-and-out, I was like, oh, we're going to drive down the field and score again. And, of course, Geno Smith threw that interception, which I'm not going to put all the blame on him because, he tried to fit it in a tight window. It just didn't happen. It is what it is. But ever since that interception going into half, man, it seemed like we couldn't do anything, like offensively and defensively. But shout out to the defense, though, for keeping us in the game. And we had a chance to tie the ball game up going into halftime. but Daniel Carlson misses the field goal. So we're down 3. And the biggest thing for me, especially after the last couple of years, for this team has always been second half adjustments and how is this team going to look coming out in the second half. When we had Josh McDaniels over here, we always started off real good, having a good lead. I mean, we played the Chiefs multiple times where we'd be 17-0 at half, and then we just look like shit for the rest of the game. But going into this game, coming out of the half, getting that huge interception from Isaiah Polamau, definitely shift the momentum, and just seeing the offense kind of get back on track really had me even more excited for the rest of the game. We got the lead, we won, and shout out to the defense. They held Drake May and their offense to only 3 points in the second half. So seeing what Geno Smith was able to do, in the rain as well, gives me a lot of motivation moving forward. And he broke a lot of records. I mean, right now he's second in passing yards with 362, and he looked flawless out there with all the weapons that we have. Brock Bowers looked like Brock Bowers. He was 5 for 103. I will say offensively, the only thing that I have concerns about is the offensive line. And I think they did their job for the most part, but the running game, we had no running game. Ashton Jency did find the end zone one time, and he looked good in the beginning of the game, but towards the latter half of the end of the game, he wasn't going anywhere. And that's something that we're going to have to see moving forward, especially going into this Monday Night Football game, how that offensive line is going to look. And hopefully they can open up more holes for Ashton Jency, because once he gets going, as well as Geno Smith with all the receivers that we have here, I think this offense could definitely be top 10. And that's not even including some of the wide receivers that we did have. We had, I think, 6 different receivers with 20-plus receiving yards in this game. And Geno Smith, I think, tied the record Raider record for 9 completions over 20 yards. So I think the offense is I expected this from the offense, and the defense really surprised me in this game. So I think moving forward, I think we're definitely one of those teams that, I like being the underdog and everybody counting us out just for us to go out there and get a couple more wins than a lot of people are expecting.
Yeah, certainly maybe like the biggest concern there for the Raiders is maybe trying to stop some of these more top echelon pass rushes. 4 sacks on Geno Smith obviously didn't affect him as much in the second half. 3 sacks in the first, 1 in the second, but nonetheless something that maybe you want to clean up. But Marcus, let's go on up to you. What were your thoughts on that Raiders win and an offensive firepower in week 1 for them? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought they looked good. First half especially, I know Genty didn't really finish the game well, but those first drives, man, he's got like 9 yards of carry. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then obviously, finished the game 19 for 38. But Geno looked great. I thought that that one drive, the one where he threw the interception was kind of it was a stupid pick. I mean, it's like a Geno pick and being aggressive for no reason. Like you guys are kind of like working it down on them pretty good on that drive that you kind of stalled out with that pick. But yeah, loved what I saw from the Raiders. Geno looks good. Brock Bowers, I know that you guys get the extra day this week playing on Monday, so we'll see if his status is up in the air for that game. They say he's day to day right now. At first, he's a premier talent, so like obviously, in division, but we don't like to see injuries at all. So I was scared for the guy, but it sounds like it's not as serious as it looked like on the field. They say non-contact. It's like he's on the field, on the side, running back and forth and looking like he was hurt. So it's good that he'll be hopefully playing on Monday. But yeah, lots of love. Vrabel team, where Geno's throwing a 360 against. That's you gotta love that, especially for a team that's had some bums at quarterback over the years, so it's nice to see that for the
just over 300 yards. That's surprising to me,
right? Shoot. But no, I love what I saw. Jacoby Myers, and a lot of people were scared about him not playing, but he's a true pro. And I think your GM came out last week and said he's a professional. He's going to come out and play. Yeah, he requested a trade, but nonetheless, he's still going to be a professional and be out there. And I don't know, did we talk about Amari Cooper retiring? I think that happened after our show last week. Let's pour one out for Amari Cooper.
We talked about him being a factor and then retired.
Yeah, let's pour one out for the guy. Here's to you, Amari.
We'll pour one down. We'll pour one for him.
But yeah, lots of love if you're a Raiders fan.
Yeah. To your point, real quick on Brock Bowers, he'll be ready by Monday. They said that basically he wanted to go back in the game. Pete Carroll said that he did, but they didn't need to put him back in the game at the end. So they just wanted to keep him on a sideline so nothing else. So he doesn't re-injure it or whatever going into Monday night.
Yeah, he grabbed that knee too right away, right when he got tackled.
I know. I was nervous too.
Also, one other guy I want to point out, Devin White, guy that I love resurrection stories and redemption stories. A guy that a lot of teams thought he was kind of done. Comes out, plays almost every snap for you guys on defense. It looked awesome. I think led the NFL in solo tackles this weekend. So that's a nice redemption story for Devin White.
Yeah, it was certainly good when Landon Roberts went out. I was like, oh, maybe this is where the Patriots take advantage. And then White steps up, and it was like, I was like, give me a Landon Roberts back. Hold up, Devin White looks like all pro. Devin White again.
Devin White was killing it out there.
Never mind, but man, shout out to Fudge who comes in with a $2 donation. Says Simone Raider, just win, baby, and that's exactly what you guys did. Exactly what you guys did. James, let's go on over to you. What were your thoughts on that Raiders win?
Well, it's family, trust, respect always, every day for us Chargers fans. And you know what? One thing that I had a perception of this whole game was I felt like it was like two teams just trying to figure out how to win. I mean, they're both new head coaches. They're both kind of trying to put their philosophies in there. And I kept thinking in my head, when you get a car and you install the tires wrong and then the wheels are kind of like shaking around and everything like that. That's kind of what I felt during this entire game. It was just kind of wobbling around, kind of doing things. And why I'm saying that is that both teams, Patriots and Raiders, did the same amount of mistakes and kind of held back their offense defensively, all these different things. 9 penalties, both teams, 4 sacks, both teams, 1 pick each team. It just kind of felt like they kind of kept getting in their own way and they had to figure things out somewhere or another. And so, I mean, I know Geno Smith, stats-wise, looks like he was great. 362 yards. I don't remember the last time the Raiders had a quarterback that threw 362 yards, plus even 350. It's been a minute. It's been a minute for you guys.
It's been a minute, though.
It's been a minute. So, interesting stat that I saw on this, too, is that the Patriots only forced 4 missed tackles. And Ashton Jeanty had 4 missed tackles himself. Jacoby Myers had 6 of his own missed tackles, which is kind of crazy. But is that just kind of a reasoning where the Raiders defense was better at tackling? Because remember in the preseason, there was a lot of missed tackles happening there.
Yeah.
And they kind of cleaned that up for whatever way. I don't know if that's Pete Carroll or whatnot, too, that he just kind of that, hey, once your starters are out there, you should be playing a different game. Or Patriots don't have enough elusive players out there that are looking to kind of have these missed tackles. Who knows? But, Geno Smith, and I know Simone Raider, you brought it up, the 9 completions of 20-plus yards. I mean, that's pretty big. Explosive plays are going to find ways to basically get you touchdowns, find ways to win games. So, and just to say, just a brief point about the Patriots, very unbalanced game. And that kind of, for whatever reason, 46 passes to 18 rushes. You got Travion Henderson, who I think could actually hit home runs. And for some reason or other, they held it back. Now, I'm sound contradicting in myself because Chargers threw the ball like crazy against the Chiefs and did really well on it. Didn't run into as much as we thought it was going to happen and found a way to win. But when you pass the ball that much, you're generally not going to win. And it's just going to be kind of a desperation situation there too. Now, I know the Patriots did have missing was a Christian Gonzalez, I think, on that game too. Maybe they thought, hey, let's just keep throwing the ball deep or whatnot and make things happen. Yeah. So either which way, we'll see what happens here, man, with Monday night game coming up against the Raiders-Chargers. So FTRL day, guys. Let's go.
And Ryan, wrap us up here with this game. What were your thoughts?
Kind of similar to James, a little messy. Both the teams are trying to figure out how to win, but I was actually pretty impressed by the Raiders, especially like Geno and how he looked. Every time I looked back tuning into the game, he was hitting Brock Bowers for a nice pass or something, which I suspected. I was like, Brock Bowers, Ashton Jeanty, those are going to be his guys. I was kind of surprised that Ashton Jeanty didn't get as much yardage as I expected him to get, especially being a first-round pick. But overall, I was pretty impressed. I was actually more surprised in terms of like looking at Drake May, and he didn't look like he was going to take the step that everyone was talking about because he's going to be this great talent. I know it's just week one. But he looked a lot like the Drake May from last year with that coaching. But so Colby, you can talk to me more about that.
Yeah, you're not wrong, man. He was great going into halftime, and then they came out after that interception, and it was like, what are we doing?
No, he looked good before half for sure until the interception. I think both ways because Geno Smith looked good before the interception as well, and then I guess we kind of switched roles at half.
All the momentum, man. That's quite literally what it was. Is who had the most momentum, but. Fellas, we have quite a few games to preview here, and we got just roughly 10 minutes. So real quick, though, I want to give a shout out to Pablo, who comes in with a $2 donation, said, Subtable, James Chargers were contenders let's freaking go. Pablo, we appreciate you, man. And
go.
before we get into these previews for these games, real quick, I do want to let you guys know about our good friends over at RotoWire. We talked about them for quite a few episodes now, so you guys know them. You guys love them. And right now, when you sign up with RotoWire, you will get 15% off using the promo code RTS. For those of you who are drafting your fantasy teams, RotoWire is a plugin, whether you're using the Sleeper app, ESPN, the NFL app, no matter what fantasy source you're using, it is a plugin to make sure that you come out with the best possible outcome and dominate your fantasy leagues. What's really cool is that you get to build your own draft plan. So in the early rounds, do you want to play it safe, be balanced, or aim for upside? As I've always said, I like to play it safe in the early rounds. In the middle, I like it balanced. But at the end, late rounds, I like to aim for the most possible upside. It'll also ask you questions such as, are you comfortable reaching for players that you told RotoWire that you like? And so me personally, in the early rounds, I like to go ahead and I like to get my guys. Middle rounds, I like to keep it balanced. But then in the late rounds, I like to stick to that average draft projection. But my favorite thing with RotoWire is that you factor most what matters to you when drafting. So to me, consistency of a player always matters most. I need to know what you're going to put up based off of points any given week. Injury risk is also very important. Reliability is the best ability in sports. Availability is the best ability. And then last year's performance, that's always something that does matter to me a little bit too. Age, not that much. But you can always break it down the way that you feel matters most to make sure that you end up with the best possible outcome. It'll also tell you players that are the best available options at each position and even tell you players that will not be available by your next pick. So if you want them, you got to get them now. So go ahead and check out RotoWire. Use promo code RTS to get 15% off. But fellas, like I said, we got about 10 minutes before we wrap up the show. So what we're going to do here is, if you're talking about your team, give a good 2-minute preview. And then if you're talking about another team, give it about a 1-minute preview on your thoughts on what the other teams will ultimately do in the division. So, Marcus, let's start off with you. What are you expecting from the Kansas City Chiefs here in week 2?
Honestly, to follow the same blueprint the Dallas Cowboys were trying to do last week, which is trying to get to follow Adoree Jackson all game. And if only CeeDee Lamb could catch the ball, probably would have won that game last week. So honestly, whoever it is, be it Tyquan Thornton, Juju, Jalen Royals, whoever is playing at our wide receiver 2 next week, go to Adoree Jackson and dominate this guy. So that's a big thing. I mean, and also too, the vaunted Eagles pass rush, 0 sacks last week against pretty much a very young and unproven Dallas Cowboys offensive line. And, 0 sacks. They ended up signing Zadarius Smith this week to try to bolster their pass rush. So I know it's a couple months after the Super Bowl. It's 7 months later after the Super Bowl, but this is a very different type of Eagles team we're seeing based off week 1. I know it's a division game that they had last week as well. So, those are just very different. But based on what we saw last week, just, they didn't look like that team that we saw in the Super Bowl last week, and they escaped with the victory. 2 big things for this game. Landon Dickerson, their starting left guard, might not play with a back and knee injury that he's nursing. So if that's the case, hopefully Chris Jones can kind of get to the quarterback from the inside this week, keep him there on the inside. Jalen Carter is playing, the famous spit, and a lot of people thought he should be suspended for this game, but he is playing, so that'll be a difference maker for them. But us, I mean, we really don't have any injuries outside the Xavier Worthy thing to look at. I mean, we're all a go as far as the same team that we saw all throughout the second half of last week. I do think, with the Super Bowl loss, however, we got our asses kicked, and coming off a loss and going back to Arrowhead, I do think we're going to have a little bit of kind of a revenge game at play here. And of course, Eagles won last week, so there's a little difference in coming off a win. I know it was a sloppy win, but they don't have that extra motivation. We have the Super Bowl motivation as well as the loss last week motivation going into this 425 game on Fox. So yeah, I think I fully expect the Chiefs to win and bounce back after this Chargers loss.
All the momentum, Marcus. I think that's what you're alluding to. You guys got all the momentum maybe heading into this game, and momentum is a big thing. I know that. Samoan knows that, so it can certainly go a long, long way. James, who do you have winning this game against the Eagles and the Chiefs?
It's going to be a tough one. This is the one. I mean, Chiefs cannot go down 0-2. So this is kind of a desperation game. I think they have got to find a way to win this one. I would definitely put the Chiefs at this one. It's going to be a tight one. And to be honest, I mean, it's the Chiefs play a lot of those kind of close games pretty much all the time. I swear last year was always close games. The amount of one-score games that we talked about earlier in the podcast too. I think the Chiefs will find a way to win this one. It's probably going to be a pretty close one to a 21-17 Chiefs type game. I could totally see that being the case. So I'm just going to stick with that. I'll go with the Chiefs 21-17 on this one. I'll keep it short and brief.
Going with the Chiefs. All right. So far, Marcus and James both picking the Chiefs in this game. Ryan, are you also going to pick the Chiefs, or are you going to pick the defending Super Bowl champions?
I'm going to pick the Eagles, especially after, you guys, that injury with Worthy. You guys are just kind of banged up. And Worthy was doing a lot of damage in the Super Bowl towards the end. Of course, it was garbage time at that point. But with him probably being out, and then you already have Rashee Rice out as well, I think it's going to be a rough night for the Chiefs. Not saying like you guys are going to get blown out, but I'm just saying like in terms of your skill players there. And then of course Jalen Carter's going to be back. Hopefully he doesn't spit on anyone this time. So we'll see him, and he'll do some damage in there on in the trenches. So yeah, I think I'm going to take the safe pick. I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one, especially after last week the Chiefs going down. Nothing against the Chiefs. I just think just how things are right now situationally just makes more sense to pick the Eagles.
That's fair. It's a 1.5 point spread. I think FanDuel has it as Chiefs favored by 1.5. DraftKings has the Eagles favored by 1.5.
Which is crazy for who you guys have out. It's pretty crazy.
Which the betting side of me thinks the Chiefs win that based on that spread. But
interesting. Well, we got Ryan being the first one to pick the Eagles. Samoan, are you also going to pick the Eagles and make it a split, or are you going to leave Ryan as the only one picking the Eagles?
No, I guess it's going to be an even split, because I'm going to go with the Eagles just for the mere fact that, that defense is crazy, and seeing what they did last week with the Cowboys. I think that's going to be a great matchup as well, kind of like the Chiefs and the Chargers. But at the end of the day, just seeing what we've seen from the Eagles last week, I'm going to pick them. And then obviously as a Raider fan, I just want to see the Chargers. Of course the Chargers too, but the Chiefs lose another week. But we'll see what happens though. But I'm gonna go with the safe pick as well with the Eagles.
All right, well, you guys let us know your thoughts of this game in the comment section below, but let's go ahead and let's move on to the division game here of the week. We got the Chargers, we got the Raiders. James, we're going to give you the floor. Preview this game for us.
Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh rivalry is back, and that's a fun one to watch back from the Stanford USC days. That was a good one to see. So I'm excited to see that kind of being renewed. Obviously, decades later, that rivalry has been renewed. Now, I'm going to say one thing about this game. Like Monday Night Football, Chargers basically had 10 days off, give or take, to get to this game. They've had a kind of a mini bye coming back from Brazil. They got a lot of off time with this one. The NFL did design the schedule specifically for the Chargers, since they gave up a home game to basically play this one on Monday night. So kind of gave them a breather here and everything too. So my biggest concern about this is coming off of a high of beating the Chiefs and having a dominant game, a fantastic game out in Brazil. Would they kind of hold back a little bit? I know Jim Harbaugh talked a little bit about that earlier this week, saying, hey, look, pedal to the metal, guys. These guys came in and started working immediately on Monday. They started coming back into work, and they're as focused as they possibly can be. We'll see about that. I hope that there's not going to be a lull to it. Now, just to think about this game, Raiders, Chargers, talent for talent, position by position. Chargers, I think, are way more talented, all top to bottom. And they're still trying to figure out the culture with the Raiders still, too. If Justin Herbert is going to use his legs, and the reason why this is going to be the X factor of the game, it was an X factor for that Chiefs game. Justin Herbert has not been healthy, basically starting, I'll go just since last year, 2024. He had foot injuries, ankle injuries. The offense was scaled back. Now having this running Herbert, who looked like beast mode out there hitting linebackers, cornerbacks, that's going to be a huge difference maker to this game. And I do think pound for pound, Chargers are going to have a much better situation against the Raiders. I think they'll have a much more probable of a blowout in this game, in my opinion. Go with that Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey combo out there with Quentin Johnson on the outside for going against CB3. It's going to be a tough situation to cover all of those players. Watch the Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey combo when they were on the field on the left side on the Keenan Allen touchdown. Basically made Jaden Hicks look like he was spinning like a top and had no idea what to do in that situation. So there's a lot more weapons with the Chargers versus the Patriots. Chargers, I think, have the advantage on almost top to bottom, in my opinion. So I think the Chargers come away on a blowout win on Monday Night Football. Second primetime game with a win and going 2-0 in the division.
Oh, the Chargers come out with a blowout win against an in-division rival, Raiders. Both of these teams, Chargers and Raiders, obviously coming off of wins in week 1. And Simone, I saw your face when James said that. Doesn't seem like you agree very much. You're obviously the other half of this game. So preview this for us. What are your thoughts and who do you have winning?
Well, I think it's obvious who I have winning, but I don't think this is going to be a blowout by any means. But, I know I also don't think top to bottom they're better overall. There are some positions where they're better than us, but I feel like we match up pretty well. And Justin Herbert, I'll give him kudos, but I feel like what we did last week and going into a rivalry like this, it's any given Sunday. And this is a matchup coming back home here, home opener game. It's going to be on prime time, and I feel like we do real well against the Chargers on prime time, no matter if it's Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. But it's going to be a big test for the Raiders for sure. But seeing what I seen from last week going into this week, we got a lot of pieces here offensively that I don't know if the Chargers can stop, but we'll have to wait and see. I feel like this is a game where Ashton Jency's finally gonna kind of like break out a little bit more because he got his first game under his belt already. And then you gotta remember that Geno Smith, Dome Geno, is different from outside Geno. So I feel like this is gonna be a big game either way. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but I do definitely see the Raiders coming out with this victory. But at the end of the day, I like to see fan bases dream a little bit, of blowing out other teams, but I don't think it's going to happen on Monday night. Well, not for the Chargers, at least.
Ooh, so we got James taking the Chargers. We got Samoan taking the Raiders. Marcus, let's go on up to you. Who do you have winning this game?
I'll be quick with it. So Chargers are a 3.5-point favorite according to the sports books I'm seeing here. I don't know, 3.5 points against a team that just beat the AFC powerhouse and the Chiefs last week. It looks like 90% of the public money is on the Chargers in this one. 3.5 points coming off an emotional victory. I think I'm going with Geno and the Raiders. And I looked it up. Pete Carroll's head-to-head with Jim Harbaugh all time 6-6, 2-1 in college, and 4-5 in the NFL. So there's no thread in the line there. But I would say I think the Raiders pull off a dub on Monday Night Football, man.
Wow, build up there, Marcus, was shocking.
That was good, Marcus. That was good. That was good. I'll give it to you. I didn't see that one coming. I thought I knew where it was going.
I like it.
And then he took a turn on me.
I think he wants the Raiders to win just to get a little bit of revenge from that week one.
That too.
Let's even things out a little bit.
Trying to do. I get it.
All right, Ryan. Come on, Ryan.
Ryan, it's all you, man. Who you got winning?
Reel it in.
Chargers, man. I'm going to take the Chargers.
Let's go.
Listen. Just after last week, watching both of the teams, I got to take the Chargers on this. But I do agree with Marcus. I think if the Raiders do win, and they can win, I definitely think that they can. It is part of that emotional buildup from last week. But this is a division rival, so it's always pretty evenly matched. So I guess we'll see sooner rather than later. But if I had to put my money on it, I'm gonna take the Chargers. Justin Herbert looked really, really good last week, but and I'll give Justin Herbert his credit every single day when it comes to the regular season. It's just the playoffs where it matters is where I'm still skeptical about him. So yeah, that's my take on it.
It ain't easy to win in the playoffs, my guy.
No, it's not.
It ain't easy.
We got this one split right down the middle. So this is where we have to go to the chat. Chat, let us know who you guys having winning this game in the division. Do you got the Chargers? Do you got the Raiders? Let us know in the comment section below. It's certainly going to be a great episode next week when we look back on who was right and who was wrong. But we still got one more game to talk about. Ryan, this is where we're going to kick it off to you. Your Denver Broncos are going to be playing the Colts. Both of you are coming off on wins. One of you is going to take your first loss here of the season, but Daniel Jones looking like 2022 Daniel Jones blowing out Tua and the Dolphins there. What are your thoughts on this game?
We both came off wins, but one of us came off an ugly win. We still have something to prove. They're on their high horse right now, especially Daniel Jones. He's probably feeling himself right now, and he's going to have to go up against one of the top 3 defenses. I think right now we're ranked number 1 because of last week. So I think we're going to punch them in the mouth. I think maybe the offense is going to look like a juggernaut, but they're going to look a lot better. I'm saying like 31 to like 10 or 15, right around there. They're going to run the ball. They're going to run the shit out the ball. Bo's going to be dotting it up pretty consistently. Nothing too crazy. I hope he doesn't throw more than like 30 times. I don't want to get anywhere near 40 times. But I think it's going to be a much more efficient game, and they're going to show that, unlike last year, it's not going to take them as long to get things going, and they're putting in the work this week. So, and I honestly, I hope it goes this way because I'm going to the game, and I've been waiting for this for the whole entire offseason. So I'm driving a few hours over there. So I'm putting a lot into this. So I hope I get my money's worth as well. But in all seriousness, I think the Broncos will bounce back this week, ultimately.
All right. So Ryan's taking his Denver Broncos. Samoan, let's go on over to you. Are you taking the Broncos or are you taking the Colts?
Okay. As much as it pains me to say real quick, I got the Broncos winning this one. Only because of that defense too. You know, I feel like Daniel Jones, he had that Derek Carr game from last year. I feel like with the Saints where everything just looks crazy. But I think when you come back down to reality, that defense is definitely going to keep the Broncos in the game. And I don't think Bo Nix can play any worse than he played last week. So I just got to give the edge this week to the Broncos.
Edge this week to the Broncos. Marcus, let's go on up to you. Are you going to make it 3 out of 3 Broncos?
Just looking at the spread here again. So Colts are 2.5-point dog at home against the Broncos. Colts actually are a pretty good team at home, 5-3 last year at home. And the Chiefs have a weird thing of playing at Indianapolis. If you look through the years, that's always a game we play at Indianapolis. That's a game we lose, no matter how good or how bad they are. So I just wanted to take a deep dive on the Broncos. Last 7 games where the Broncos have traveled to Indianapolis, they are 1-6. So I'm going to go Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis takes down the Broncos.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Ryan, you might want to hold back on that trip, bud.
Hey, that was either we were going there with Peyton or we were going up against Peyton. So
True.
So Peyton had some weird things going on with the Colts each time we played them, even when they came to Denver. So he's gone. This is a whole different crew now.
Got it.
Wow. So we got our first Colts here with Marcus. James, are you also going to make it Colts and make this one an even split?
I don't even know if the Colts are a real team yet. It's hard for me to think that Daniel Jones is really this guy all of a sudden. Now, I understand the system could change a quarterback and everything too, but I just don't know if I could really put money on the Colts at this point. Ryan did pick the Chargers, so him and I, we're buddies right now. We're all good. So I'll pick the Broncos in this one. I think they got a good shot at it. I think their defense is just so dang good. It's just about, can you get second half of 2024 Bo Nix back? That's the thing about this. Bo Nix needs to basically step up somewhere or another and be that guy in second half of 2024. We can't have this slow start. He's got to figure it out somewhere or another. And I think personally, they got to get that run game going early. They got to get things rocking really quickly through the pass game, through short passes or whatnot. Just get him flowing throughout this game. So, but I'm choosing the Broncos on this one.
All right. Looks like Marcus is the Lone Ranger on this one. But guys, let us know your thoughts, not just on Broncos and Colts, but let us know what your thoughts are. What teams are you picking for the AFC West for NFL Week 2? Want to let you guys also know about something really, really cool. This is called Swivel. All right. And what Swivel is that it is a Google Chrome extension that consolidates all of Roundtable Sports content onto the opening Google page. So where you would go to look something up, it will have all of Roundtable Sports, TikTok posts, YouTube posts, Instagram, all that good stuff. Not just that, but they're also adding content creators here for Roundtable Sports on it also. So some of your favorite content creators might already be on there, to where if you want all of the information of Roundtable Sports or all of the information about your favorite creator, make sure you guys go ahead and check out Swivel so that it's all in one place on your Google Chrome. But that is going to wrap it up for today's episode here at the AFC West Roundtable. We will see you guys live next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, as always, to break down everything that happened in Week 2 and preview Week 3. On your way out, make sure to leave a big like on the video, subscribe to the AFC West Roundtable, but also, most importantly, stay safe. We'll see you guys next week.